Hello Internet. Want to talk about energy. So despite and because of all of the changes that are happening in the way in which we source our energy, our move to more renewable sources of energy such as wind and solar in an effort to replace and offset older, less good energy sources that are bad for the environment and bad for humans and generally just bad for everything. These are coal, these are gas, petroleum, diesel, etc. In an effort to offset all of these, there's this very strong feeling that energy intensity of everything is going up. Now, in a certain sense that's true. We are still seeing industrialization happen in a lot of the planet. We are still seeing people come out of abject poverty into a style of living where they're more likely to use more energy, whether that's for things like cooking, which traditionally has been a cause of many problems. Talk about, say, unclean cooking fuels and respiratory illnesses related to those, right? So moving into slightly more energy intensive, but on the whole, cleaner, better, safer ways of cooking. Same for things like luxuries like air conditioning. And then also the move from fossil fuel driven cars to electric cars, and of course, you know, all of that energy has to come from somewhere. Now, on the one hand, the price of fossil fuels is going to keep going up, partially because of policy, partially because it's harder to get at. Now, the industry bought itself a lot of time by figuring out fracking. Now, that's not to anybody's benefit except, of course, the oil companies, but hey, it bought some time. However, on the good side of things, solar energy has dropped so fast in price. It's gotten to the point where the last number I saw was less than 20 cents, US cents per watt, right? That's installation, that's just the cost of the panels, really. So at that point, and you know, we've kind of crossed the point where in most areas, especially in developed countries, the biggest cost of setting up a solar plant isn't the panels anymore. It's going to be permits, it's going to be land, it's going to be access to connect up to the grid and things like that, right? Wind has also dropped a lot. And all of this is great. We're moving away from the bad stuff. But it's happening in a context where people are demanding more and more energy for more and more things. And frankly, people are wasting energy on all sorts of stuff that energy shouldn't really be wasted on. But, you know, let's not be too judgmental there, because, you know, a lot of it is quality of life, and if we're not here for that, what are we here for? So, as a result, the other thing that's happening is energy that came from the ground, energy from fossil fuels, is energy that we have basically borrowed from the past. It's energy that came into Earth via the sun over the course of millions of years, and we've just been burning up that supply for a long time. So that has meant that the effort involved in collecting all of that energy has really been very low compared to how much energy we've been getting. And so now what we're seeing is, like, it's getting harder and harder to get all of the energy we actually need. And we need to be a bit aware of that and maybe start thinking about less energy intensive lifestyles, and, you know, in some cases. So that can be as simple as walking to where you're going, or biking. Riding a bicycle is one of the most energy efficient vehicles ever invented. Bicycles are great, yeah. But you know, it's also just improvements all along the supply chain, all of the things we need, just making them a little bit more efficient. One of the things I like to talk about, and I'll save it for a later video, is the amount of waste involved in poorly written software, right? It sounds like it's not a big deal, but if you multiply it across all of the software in existence, it's a lot. It's a lot. So anyway, the reason I wanted to talk about this is because there's a weird geopolitical phenomena that's likely to happen as we get deeper and deeper into the renewable energy transition. And that is, the way it'll be shaped is a little bit like this. You take countries that are currently seen as energy rich, right? That's going to be countries like Iceland with its ample hydro power, Canada in the same vein. You're going to take countries like Norway, which don't, don't lack for anything really. They've got oil, they've got hydro, they've got a lot of opportunities there. And those countries are going to be coming up on the end of life of some of their hydro plants. So you're already starting to see it in the US. There's a great book called Cadillac Desert that talks about the rise of hydro and water projects around the US. But we're starting to see dams having to be taken down because they've passed their end of life, they're full of silt, they're not doing what they need to be doing anymore, and in fact they can become more and more dangerous over time. So those countries are going to be struggling a lot more, and as glaciers melt and hydrocycles change, it can get even worse, right? So these countries that are seen as energy rich today on some metric might start to have to become net importers of electricity. Now, with the exception, well, there are exceptions, but a lot of them are already net importers of energy in the form of fossil fuels. But with the energy transition to electric cars and stuff, we're starting to see more and more countries, and I'm going to take Iceland as an example, where there's increasing pressure to make more electricity because apparently there's not enough. Now, realistically, there's plenty of electricity available. It's just being sold at discount rates to the aluminum industry. Okay, that's a choice. Might have made sense when it was decided, but it's starting to make less and less sense now, right? But it's not unlikely that in the near future, these energy-rich countries that are, mostly hydro-based, are going to be seeing themselves having to import electricity. But on the bright side, that electricity is going to become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper because solar keeps dropping. There's good news from Japan. They've decided to turn on one of their big nuclear plants again. That alone is going to offset some hundreds of thousands of tons of CO2, or offset. I say offset. It's not release, right? Going to prevent the release of hundreds of thousands of tons of CO2 every month, right? This is good. Also, Poland just agreed to allow a set of smaller scale nuclear, so they're called modular nuclear reactors. That's really good news. I mean, the price point of nuclear is still pretty high, but we're seeing movement in that direction can help to take the edge off the base load, and that's going to be very beneficial. So then you look at all of the other things that are going on. Wind power, I have barely talked about that here, but the trend we're seeing is that the equator and the mid latitudes, the tropics, are going to become more and more energy rich in the renewable sense, not necessarily just in the petrochemical sense. I mean, yeah, I'm 60 kilometers from Venezuela right now, and that's a that's a whole topic, right? But yeah, you know, we're going to see that kind of shift, and for the most part, it's actually good. But the people who are running the countries that that are used to being energy rich, fireworks, New Year coming up. Yeah, the countries that are used to being energy rich need to start understanding and plotting out their long-term policy and stop doing it with such naivety towards what's happening in the rest of the world. There's a shift happening. It's coming. You can't stop it. But if you work with it, there's a lot of benefits to be had for pretty much everybody on the planet. And that's a good thing. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it at that. But I know that's a bit of a ramble, but hey, you know, these are unscripted. You get what you pay for. By the way, you're welcome to subscribe. I've just started this. I don't know. I feel very awkward asking for that, but you know, it's a thing. I'm trying this out. Tell me whether you like it, whether it sucks, you know. But anyway, yeah, energy. It's going to change, and it's changing fast. So get on the game. Peace.